So we try to
I'm glad.
shift gears a little bit.
Oh, wait a minute, you don't sign it. You gotta sign that thing, you can't. What are you doing?
Thank you, sir. All right, again, thank you for being here for our regular council meeting of March 26, 2015. Again, I'm guessing Father O'Carey is not here. Okay. In that case, Mr. Manning, if you wouldn't mind, leading us in our invocation and pledge to the flag. If everyone would please stand.
Our Heavenly Father, we come to you now, Lord. We just want to say we thank you for another beautiful day, Father. Touch those in the hospital today, Lord. Touch over with the death angel this week, Father. Be the funeral we had this week, Lord. Touch their families. Take this meeting, use us for your honor and your glory. Not what we want, God, what we're supposed to do for the citizens and also for you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Diane, if we could have a roll call, please.
Mayor Lambert,
Here?
Vice Mayor Braddock,
Here.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Manning,
Yes.
Councilmember Sue,
Here.
City Manager Hyatt,
Here.
City Attorney Moore.
Here.
All right.
Folks, I trust we've had opportunity to review the consent agenda, which includes minutes from meetings on March 12th, both the agenda work session and regular council meeting, as well as the minutes from the March 19th workshop on the sign ordinance. There's also February 2015 financial statement and a declaration of surplus property. Clerk, motion approved.
Say.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Braddock,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Manning,
Yes.
Councilmember Sue,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. All right, at this time, we will entertain comments, communication from citizens. And signing up for us tonight, Chris Schobert, is that correct? 4106 South Terrace.
I'm not just here for the, is this thing on? Okay. My first question, I have two reasons I'm here. One is just to see if you found anything about the house. Last time I was here, I talked about the erosion problem at 4110.
Okay.
And the reason I'm here is actually my next door neighbor who has a house that's tighter than Fort Knox and has 4 cats, told me the other day he caught a rat in his attic with a spring trap. And then the last 2 times my exterminators come, we've had to fill two traps again. So there's some significant, they call it exterminators, I use cooks, they call it pressure. We got a lot of pressure,
Gotcha.
is what they call it. So I just want to see if you found anything about who owns it or where we're at on that.
Okay.
What we done.
We'll get an update in just a minute on
Okay.
on that one. What was
Well, the other thing was, y'all know with the demise of Eric, there's still an interest, I think, with some of us down at Eastridge Middle and Eastridge High to stay connected with the city. I have a colleague over at the high school, in fact, who wants to try to start a character ed thing. And we're kind of looking to the city more than just going with Hamilton County, because we feel like, keeping it local, if we can work with our local, a partnership with you all, rather than just Hamilton County, as distant as they are sometimes, would be good. So I'm just throwing that out there, kind of throwing out a line, letting you know that he is interested. I think it's really confusing, because at the high school there's 4 math teachers, and they all say Morris, and I think his last name is Morris, and I'm planning on meeting with him soon and getting it worked together. But that's something I just wanted to kind of rekindle the whole thing. That Eric kind of was a great organization, and with that being gone, we don't really have educational world here in East Ridge doesn't have any connection with the city anymore. I kind of like to bring that back somehow. I don't know how, but I just, if you have any ideas, anyone has anything on that, that's why I'm here. I'll start coming more just, not just a gripe about my own
I think,
situation. is what I'm trying to say.
make contact, some people that were in the area, I think they would like to keep it going, but they didn't have, basically a leader, they kind of retired.
Right, and I think their kids were all grown up too, if I'm not mistaken. And so, in fact, mine are about to graduate, they have one more year, but since I'm a teacher, I'm a stakeholder. And I like that organization. I thought it was a good concept because again, it connected schools with the city and not just with Hamilton County School Board, which is great, but to keep it local, so because we really know what's going on more than they do sometimes.
Right.
So that's, and I'm not really sure even where I'm headed with that, just sort of throwing it out there.
No, I think it's a great
A
suggestion.
couple of us over here at the two schools here, I know, that are interested in reconnecting with the city, because I know Eric did a lot of stuff with y'all. Because I've gone to some of their meetings and they would have different people speak from the city. So.
And I appreciate that, and I do think we need to get as many people who have an interest in education here in East Ridge, improving education, we need to get those folks together.
Sure.
I believe in the power of numbers. And
I even talked to Councilman Sewell. I've talked to, why does his name escape me? Because I know him pretty well. David Testerman about this concept. My first teaching experience was in Charleston, South Carolina. I did about a year there. And they had they had huge school districts, not like Hamilton County, but they had little constituent districts that reported to the larger district. And I proposed that to David a long time ago. And now that I've heard talk, a lot of people down there say, "What is the city wanting to take over the schools?" I don't know where that came from. There was an article in the paper, I think.
there was, it actually was, yeah.
It'd be very costly. I know all the numbers. I've talked to a number of people. Steve Robinson told me that would never happen because it's so costly to run.
Right.
But that idea worked really well in Charleston, where we would be like our own separate school district, Lookout Valley, Hickson, Littlewall, all the places that have a middle, elementary, and high school could make some of their own decisions. Because who knows better than us what we need, what our kids are like, what our neighborhoods are like. So just throwing it out there.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
We appreciate that, and we will certainly come up with some ideas and figure out some ways to plug people together.
Okay, next time I come, I'll bring Mr. Norris or Morris or. And it
Yeah,
really is
that'd be great.
crazy. Both my sons have had like Miss Norris, Mr. Morris, Miss Morris. It's very confusing.
Well,
There's only one
thank you.
show, so I guess I'm gonna keep. Anyway, okay.
And as far as the
Thank you.
codes, I don't have an answer for you right now, but we have to turn that over to the codes, and I'll get with them tomorrow, and we'll get with you as soon as I hear from them tomorrow. Chief Williams is responsible for that department. so-
Well, like I said last time, I think it's a really good idea to get something over there too, because there's gotta be a huge population. And start killing them over there. I hate to sound so morbid, but, yeah. And I know you guys have a lot of other houses in East Ridge that I'm sure similarly. But, you know, and I'm not trying to sell it.
I understand.
If we could set up something to take care of all of them, that would be great. I mean,
Right. Thank you very much. Mr. McNeil, John McNeil, 2017 McBrien Road.
I just, would like to say that I got hurt pretty bad, a lot worse than we thought. That lady struck me in 2013. And I'm not gonna get enough out of it to pay my medical bills, so I'm just gonna let what comes, comes. What really irritated me is, at the time, she walked almost scot-free. And I don't want to see anybody get hurt like this again. I lost a leg out along, or the other things, I don't know, moved back and everything else. I got hurt a year ago, from halfway normal. And we gotta get crosswalks and stuff up. I've already volunteered. I see Chattanooga mayor is getting busy to get down on some stuff like that. Maybe we could call him, get it together where everybody's doing on the same sheet of music, because this is just 2 days. Nobody slows down. I saw a young man over the weekend, this last weekend, get hit on a bicycle. It was in Chattanooga, right out the main gate of Orion Hospital. You gotta come around the corner and wham, hit it. If you've got less than 4 wheels, nobody pays attention to you. When we split the water and the sewer bill, it's been raising havoc for me. I don't see where my sewer bill ought to be 3 times the value of my water consumption, but it is. I just got my water turned back on today after they shut it off yesterday. I had the Episcopal Church downtown pay my water bill. I'm sitting here with open wounds and everything else. Well, in order to get some help, I had to turn over to 2 health departments, the county and the state, 2 primary care physicians, the Veterans Administration, Disabled American Disability Act of 1990, and I filed Senator Corker to get something done. They won't listen to you. They won't cut you any slack. You don't pay that sewer bill, the first thing they do is chop your water off. So I turned around and raised a little cane with our lovely sewer people and WWTA. WWTA knows where I'm coming from. At least they halfway listen. But that sewer people don't. I wonder how many other veterans or senior citizens are being treated the same way. Because if they are, it's sure as what I spent 27 years fighting for. There's too many things going wrong right now. If I can help straighten any of it up, let me know. I'll volunteer to help out any way I can. So if we get a halfway decent settlement, which I doubt, I'm not going to get my medical bills taken care of out of this. So maybe I can do a little bit for the city when I do get the settlement. I'd sure like to. I've called this home since '95. I'd sure still like to keep calling home. And with that education thing that was brought up, 3 years ago, my mother passed away, left me $40,000 to do with what I wanted. I was going to give it to East Ridge grade school up here for their art, science, and gym programs. Because they were having problems getting money from the program. Now they don't even have the instructors anymore. But the superintendent at the time wanted to take the money, put it in the big kitty, and it wasn't going to be marked for East Ridge. It kind of made me angry. I wanted to go to East Ridge school system. He wouldn't have it, so he didn't get the donation. But I've still got it. Still got the money, and I'm going to help them out where I will.
Well, we appreciate your generous spirit, and I'm sure they will as well. Thank you very much, Mr. McNeil. Do want to mention, City Manager and I talked about it very briefly between meetings. Of course, as you all may remember, we did get an ADA grant, probably been about 3 years ago. Apparently the engineering is complete. We're waiting on money to come in from the state to actually do the ADA compliant crosswalks and all the rest. But that is out there, and we it's certainly on our radar screen. So All righty. Communication with council members. Mr. Manning, what do you got for us?
I was gonna ask a question, maybe some of y'all might know. Heard this week if we lost a grant that we didn't get for the police department, fire department, somebody. They are lost.
I have not heard of that.
We just learned that we were awarded the Homeland Security grant, which is split between police and fire. We are getting that again.
No, they ain't gonna come back. I heard we had lost a grant, we should be there.
Anyone know anything about losing a grant? That's the first I've heard of it.
They said it, year old, almost year old, we lost.
The only one I know about is one I asked about a couple of weeks ago, we still got several months on it.
Okay.
Not to my knowledge, and I'm looking at the chief, and both chiefs, and Dad, and any other, Diane, I don't think any of us know. I'd like to know who told you, so we could at least square it up with them.
Do you have anything else?
No.
Mr. Super?
I just wanted to, thank, Commissioner Boyd, flags up.
Oh, fantastic.
Looks nice, saw it today, looks nice.
Good.
We got one pole up, it's got a Tennessee flag, so maybe we can get us another somewhere right over there, like right or something, it's the street flag. There'll be a dedication somewhere down the road.
Excellent. Excellent. Mr. Gable?
Yes, sir. I just like to find out about Asper Lane. I drove out by there and seen where they dug it up. Last I heard, they were waiting to make asphalt, or they're making asphalt yet.
Yeah, that place has been patched.
It has been patched, okay. Are there plans in the future to come in and redo the whole road?
We'll evaluate all the roads. We just won't, just because one citizen complains about one road, we'd have to pay for every road in town. So we'll evaluate all the roads as we go forward. We'll get some engineers involved, and it does. I do know this had to have immediate attention.
Right.
We couldn't wait, so that's why this was taken care of. And it wasn't done properly in the first place, so we had to redo it.
Right, and also Clemens Road, the speed hump deal. I went to that seminar up here in Unicoi, Tennessee, and our risk management people was there, Miss Judy Housley. The subject was brought up on speed humps. She does not recommend speed humps. She asked for us to go somewhere else. The city manager spoke to maybe putting stop signs up. Well, I drove down by there. There's one location we had to put up a four-way stop. Another location had to put up a three-way stop. So, could we get that into maintenance?
And that'd be something I believe that I would just like for the blessing of this council to do. That way we're all on the same page. But that was something we were going to discuss in a minute. But yeah, I spoke to you about it last week after we met. So yeah, and it was right behind the post office, it's a four-way. And I think a little to the east would be a three-way stop. I don't remember the name of the roads. You guys can help me with that. But we have been out there, running some radar and that type of thing. We believe this. I believe this would be something that would help at least alert people that we need to do some other thing, put some children at play signs up, that type of thing, because sometimes that just helps get people's attention. Nothing else. So if you bless it, we'll get the signs put up.
And also John Ross Road, I drove out into it. I can't see nothing where the gas company's been up there repairing any of those things.
I know we've turned Kenny Custer over, let him loose against the gas company, get that taken care of, so Kenny is on top of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gregg?
Yeah, I'm sure all of you saw in the paper today or yesterday, I've lost track of time, about the new Life Care Center. The president gave me this rendition of what it's going to look like. It's going to look just like the new one up there in Ottawa. So it'll certainly enhance Exit 1. And all of that was done without $0 of any tax incentive.
I think it was a little big there.
Vice Mayor, if I may add, yes.
Just kidding, just kidding.
A few of us have met with Life Care, and there's going to be 3 buildings on it. It's going to be pretty
Yes.
much exactly like that. They're gonna tear down the existing building. It will not be on that footprint. They're gonna move it a little more to the west, so they can put 2 other buildings. One will be closer to the road, to Ringo Road, one will be closer to the interstate, to the on-ramp.
I want to
$25
thank,
million project.
I want to thank you, Vice Mayor, for going to testify in, essentially in favor of having this done. It was an 8-3 vote in the committee that it went in front of for the certificate of need.
A lot of deliberation there. I was sweating for a while. Yeah.
So I appreciate your efforts on that, and you think about it, the good things that are happening in East Ridge. I rarely post on Facebook, but I did today. And I posted a link to that story in the newspaper and included, you think about what's going on at Exit 1. You have the Bass Pro project, kind of on the northeast quadrant. That is at a minimum a $25 million project, and with other things coming that I'm sure will jack that number up significantly.
The grocery store has started.
The new grocery store just, where is it? Up the road here. And, you think about the Life Care on the southwest quadrant, that's $25 million. The 2 hotels on the southeast quadrant of Exit 1, the Comfort Inn's already put in $2.5–3 million to renovate that. The La Quinta is being completely renovated as well. And you're looking at $55 million in new development, redevelopment right there, right now. That's impressive. When was the last time that happened? Here. Yeah, I mean, it is an exciting time to be in East Ridge. It really is. So just keep the momentum going and see where we get. But thank you again, Vice Mayor. Just wanted to mention a couple of things, Larry. You actually reminded me when you mentioned the flag and Commissioner Boyd. He is having a community meeting next Thursday night over here in the community center at 6:30. He asked me to invite all the council and everyone else who would like to come. Again, that'll be at 6:30 just across the way here in the community center. Next Thursday night, April 2nd. And I believe that's really all that I have. I will turn it over to the city manager.
Thanks. A couple things I was going to talk about. Vice Mayor talked about it, and that's okay. We can, as long as we get it out there.
Let's throw your thunder in.
No, as we keep moving, keep the momentum going, I think we do have some momentum. And it started last year, I'm pointing at you, Ethan, but as part of that, the momentum started last year with the Bass Pro development, but it started even before that. And there's bits and pieces that probably not all of us at any one given time know what's going on out there, and we're all plugged in differently. So just to let you know that, another thing I'm being plugged in with, on Tuesday, there's a program across the country that's called Main Street USA. And I have plugged into that. On Tuesday, I'll be at the national meeting. It's going to be in Atlanta, so I'll just be down there for one day. But meeting with people, meeting with the state, the chairman of the state Main Street committee, so we can start getting some of those dollars into East Ridge. So there's some things we're doing that in bits and pieces, we take little bites. They all of a sudden go back. And you mentioned the money being put in. That has never happened in East Ridge. And cumulatively, maybe, but at any one given time, that much money in East Ridge, it hasn't happened. You can go back and check your history book. It has never happened. And development like this hasn't happened probably since the 50s. So there's a lot of redevelopment, development going on here. Some we have control of and part to do with, and some we don't. So just a few things. And just to let you, I'll be out Monday as well. A family member having some surgery, so I'll be out to take care of that. So that's it.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
I read an article today, and in this article, the sale of the property back here, and I think Mr. Hyde made a statement, we needed to $581,000 out of the sale of the property. But in this article, it says $561,000, the reason why I'm asking. So is it 581 or 561?
The commission is 560. Yeah, after we pay the 6%, the check we got from them, we've got to pay some money out from that. Closing costs. So we'll pay close.
So we deposited $569,000.
We I-61 instead of 580.
That is correct. That is, thanks for bringing that to my attention.
All right, fantastic. And with that, we will move to old business, item A, resolution number 2453, which was tabled January 8th, 2015.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with Retail Strategies for market analysis, strategic planning, and retail recruitment. Again, tabled from January 8th.
Mr. Mayor, if I recall, I tabled this back in on that date. I would like to make a motion to remove it from the table.
We have a motion to remove resolution 2453 from the table. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second to remove this item from the table. Roll call, please.
Vice Member Graham. Vice Mayor Rabbit.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Manning.
Yes.
Councilmember Sewell.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. This item is removed from the table. And Mr. City Manager, do you have any
Yes.
information you would like to provide to us?
This came up, I guess it was early last summer, sometime around July. We met with Ms. Beasley, Ms. Hudson, and they're here tonight, by the way. Thank you for coming. Part of what I felt like I was bringing to East Ridge when I was hired was the fact that I had exposure to economic development in my previous job. You know, nowhere in my training, my professional training, do I have professional economic development training. I've had a few classes in. Having said that, I'm familiar with it. I understand who to go to, how to get these things accomplished. And typically, you try to get subject matter experts involved. We hire a fireman to be a fire chief. We hire a police officer to be a police chief. We don't hire people who aren't in the industry. But there's things that I can do, and we've tried. And we've worked with Bass Pro. We've worked with the development over on the pool property. So there's things that we're bringing into it. But our time is quite divided. This would help get some concentrated time to assist us to get the projects developed. Mr. Jablonski's not worked in economic development as training for that. We've picked it up working in the governments we've worked in because of the need that was there, and also there's a need here. So we felt like this was something that we should bring to the council to see if this was going to be advantageous to help springboard us into the 21st century with filling up some of our empty storefronts. There's a lot of storefronts. We've got an inventory. We've gone through a list of that inventory. There's some software and some abilities that we don't have, capabilities that we don't currently have. Were we to completely take this over, we would have to purchase these things. We'd have to be able to get the training. We'd have to travel. We'd have to do some things. This would plug that in for us. There's some discussion to be had and some questions possibly be answered by staff and by Ms. Beasley and Ms. Hudson, but we'd be more than happy to see what we can do for you.
And you mentioning the meetings you've been to. Obviously, I can personally vouch for for part of that. Is just in the last week we've been to 3 different meetings with potentials for East Ridge and things that I think hold great promise.
There's things that I'm plugged into even as I speak here. I am not at liberty to talk about. So if you think, okay, well, what's he doing? You know, why don't we have this? Well, I can't tell you. I as the city attorney, will be able to balance this. When people ask me not to say things, I can't just come back and just start telling everybody what's going on. And I won't. I'm sworn to that as far as I'm concerned. So it's something that I'm ethically bound by, and I could get in trouble on that side, and we could lose the business, which would be a problem on this side. So you got to understand, there's some things that we plug into, and you were in a meeting I was in too, and we just can't talk about certain things. It's unfortunate. We'd love to. There's some things that we would ask them to do specifically with this, and I want Thad to speak to it if it's okay. Absolutely. He's been in touch with Ms. Beasley, Ms. Hudson, quite a bit. It's okay.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. And we, I guess that question, why, you just addressed one part of why retail strategies or why is this a good idea? And I think the question is a strategic approach with control over an unplanned kind of a best shot we'll grab it up if it falls out of the sky, or we'll kind of chase the car, and the dog chasing the car if somebody throws us a tip. Or those businesses we want in East Ridge, that the citizens want in East Ridge, we can chase those. But maybe they don't want to come to East Ridge. What these ladies know how to do, what Retail Strategies knows how to do, is identify and zero in on the entities, the business entities that want to come to a city that has the type of population density and surrounding population density we have. Ethan, you know how important these demographic analyses are. The customer base, disposable income within 5, 10, 30 miles, the character of the community, proximity to interstates. There are more factors than I can go through right now, but it's that complicated. And again, I can work on this as much as time allows, given my other duties. Retail Strategies, for $100,000 a year at the flat rate, $33,000 a year on average. Well, that would the average across.
You said 1 year was 100,000.
The average, 48,000 the first year. If you take the 3 years and average that, it'd be $33,000 a year. That's a third of the cost of an employee, and you get a team, and the team brings references, they bring connections, they bring the black book that has the contact numbers, they bring experience and expertise that only comes with the work that they do on a day-in and day-out basis. They bring data, information that they subscribe to and pay big money for, that we could spend the money on that. We could spend the money on procuring the data, the software that they use, the books that they purchase. We could do that, or we can invest in the team that will bring these businesses to East Ridge and work with us to put together a strategy, that will work to put together marketing materials, that will work to put together, will work to go on to the conferences in Atlanta and Vegas and the Tennessee, Kentucky meetings, and the meetings throughout the year. They'll represent us and act as an agent working on behalf of the city of East Ridge. The two changes that were requested, I had spoken to a couple members of the council who were concerned about the contract, and there were two changes in particular that were requested. And the most, I think the big one was that there be an option for the city to opt out of the contract after year 1 and year 2, an auto renewal, so that the city has 30 days, and these ladies are agreeable to that. It seems that that's not a problem. Any contract would include an auto renewal, so that the city would have a 30-day period to look back at the year and evaluate performance, so that if performance was an issue, the city could opt out and say, we don't want to pay any more money, we don't want to go anywhere. The second issue was the question of incentives. And that sounds like a good idea. Typically, when working with a private partner, I would want to see some incentive-based fee in the contract whenever it's possible. That's something I spoke to Mark Mamontoff about, and the incentive that was provided in the contract, since it's based on sales tax, that is a very, very difficult thing. That would take the very income stream that we're counting on, which is local sales tax, to accomplish. In the next few years, as the mayor pointed out, and the city manager pointed out tonight, Representative Graham, as you saw in Nashville yesterday, we have large, and everyone here, we've got large levels of investment in East Ridge at this point in time. This is a golden goose, for a firm such as Retail Strategies. So that I think that the performance, I think that the opt-out, the 30-day notice period, auto renewal at the end of each year is incentive enough, so that if you don't do a good job, you're not going to get to keep the golden goose. In other words, they're also agreeable to coming back and discussing any third-party agreements. If they work on an agreement with Exit One LLC to help them land a big developer, or a big retailer for that development, or with another developer, they'd be agreeable to come and present that to the city council for approval before they move forward and accepted any commission or accepted or went forward with that store. And I know that was another concern by members of the council. So they seem very agreeable to working with us. So there are incentives that are a part of that industry that the the city can take advantage of without having to give up those vital sales tax dollars that we're gonna need to finance the capital improvements that come from growth as we develop and redevelop. So, I think that staff would recommend option one, which is that flat fee rate. We can budget it, predict it, and not give up those revenues that are really, at the end of the day, how we're gonna grow our tax base in East Ridge. That's my recommendation.
I don't want to interrupt. You said Mark Mammentop.
Mark Mammentop and I discussed this at great length because I was, again, I've been asked to look at this, and we did look at it, and it's a good idea, the concept's a good idea, but again, those sales tax revenues, gross sales taxes, we've discussed in meetings with, in fact, Days of Wonder developers. It length, gross sales tax doesn't automatically do simple math down to, if you take 2.25% of every dollar in gross sales, that's not the tax revenue you end up with. And that's because of exemptions, caps, maximums. It depends on what you're purchasing. It depends on the type of product. Sales and use tax laws are vast. And I'm not going to pretend to know all of them. That's why we have a term. But having said that, we would essentially, if it's sales tax that we want to capture, I think that Mark agreed wholeheartedly that we don't want to give that up in the process of what he considered to be a very reputable firm in this region. They're the best known for what they do. They're regional, but they have a national presence, so that they're known. They're known national retailers far and near. So it seems to be a good service at a good rate. If the city doesn't like it, the city can always opt not to continue with the service and do it at a lower cost than it would cost for an employee. To me, it's a look at value. But if there are any questions, I know these ladies would be glad to answer them.
Just one more thing, didn't the city of Collegedale
Collegedale recently signed a contract at their last meeting. I spoke to their city manager. He was very pleased about that. They were going to represent the city of Collegedale at the upcoming Recon conference in Las Vegas. And
I believe Ms. Beasley would probably also agree with this. This is a more desirable location than Collegedale.
I'm sure she wants that on the record.
No, we do have a great opportunity, and there's things that would want to come here that wouldn't necessarily want to go to Collegedale and vice versa. So I think that we're completely two different cities, so having them work so closely with somebody nearby, it also speaks volumes that they would also choose this route.
How many years have they been
Please. Did you hear the question?
Years.
State your name.
I'm Lacey Beasley with Retail Strategies. I've been in the industry for 10 years. I've been at Retail Strategies for a year and a half. The firm has been in existence for 4.
How many companies you got, towns right now, or companies there, what do you say?
I think we're at 104 municipalities right now in 18 states.
Related to department?
Yes, sir, we are partners.
How many
We have a team of 28 people at Retail Strategies based out of Birmingham, Alabama. So we have a larger team that works. So when we get engaged, it takes us about 90 days to put together the strategic plan. We would expedite that for you so that we could represent you at Recon. We do have a deadline, and Recon has about 35,000 people, 1 million square feet of exhibitor space, so it's a huge show. We have a large booth there, so we're already setting a lot of meetings for the municipalities we work with at that show. We're preparing everybody for it, so we would expedite your strategic plan to get it in place, ready for that show, to represent you there. And what we do, and we talked about last time a little bit about that strategic plan, but yeah, we just start working with you.
And that was, the Recon is the Las Vegas show in May.
Yes, exactly,
right? Okay.
exactly.
And that's the granddaddy of them all in terms of,
And as far as our team goes, Laura and I would be your main points of contact, but we do have a full support team, and each person has a different area of expertise that they plug into here.
Okay. here, we think we got here by itself. You come here in this area.
Well, we're all in Birmingham, Alabama, but we work throughout 18 states.
So Lacey and I are a team, we're partners, and then we have one other that will be on our team. It's called the Retail Recruiter, so the three of us would be the ones specifically working in this part of Tennessee.
That's really nice. I think you said back there, that's really nice. It's sidekick, because it's small. Didn't mean that by it, that's really sad.
Good. Yes, sir.
I agree that, I think it's hard for you to take care of potential retail establishments coming in because you two are busy doing your normal job. I can see the benefit of having a company like this, just like, you know, McDonald's and all the other fast food companies, they have site development agents or teams, whatever you want to call it, out there looking for different sites. So I can definitely see that it might make it a little bit easier on you to focus on your normal jobs. One of the things that I would like to, I looked through your proposal here, and one of the things that I didn't notice the drop-off clause, the cancellation clause rather. Are you two agreeable, your firm's agreeable to putting that into the contract? Okay.
You have a standard contract,
Yes, sir, we'll provide that to you.
So whenever you go to these shows, how many people go with you?
Depends on the show. We just returned from Charlotte. We went to the Carolinas. I did exchange there. We had about 5 people there, and we had about 40 meetings. We went back to back in a day and a half, and we hosted a reception with 50 people. So even though there was 5 of us, then it was a lot. It was intense. We go back to back in 30-minute meetings with people.
At Recon, we have the whole team go, so all 28 of us will go to Las Vegas in May.
Do you have an average time frame from the point of signing the agreement to obtaining your first contract for a retail establishment? Is there an average? Is it 6 months, 8 months?
It's a great question. It definitely varies pretty dramatically, but you know, traditionally in retail, from the time they identify a market till they actually open, can take anywhere from 18 to 36 months. So it takes a while, and that's why we propose a 3-year contract with you, because you plant all those seeds in year 1, and you start to reap the benefits of that in year 2. So there's a lot that we put in the works in that first 12 months that you start to see the results of in the second year.
Thank you. My final question is directed to Mr. Jablonski. Correct me if I'm wrong, but any attorney fees that we spend on any development, we're reimbursed those fees through the Board of Region legislation, correct?
As attorney or
Like Mark
professional services, as it
Would
relates
their fees be able to be reimbursed?
for any and all projects that relate to the Board of Region, which is our entire commercial district. So I would say anywhere from 99 to 100% of that fee would be able to allocate. And if it turned out one project ended up, and we could proportion it, if one project ended up outside of the district, then that proportion could be pulled out. But,
Okay.
I can't imagine any project would not meet the Board of Region.
Okay.
So that could be reimbursed by
Wow.
Board of Region money.
Thank you. Excellent question.
So you're saying their 50,000 or 48,000 for this year can be took back out of we be reimbursed.
I would
Their
certify-
48,000.
I would submit that for certification with the Department of Revenue to be reimbursed.
As an
And the state would have to approve it, but we would submit it as an eligible cost. Just basically what anybody from the city of East Ridge would maybe needed in, I hate to say this in East Ridge, but in Las Vegas. I really hate to say it.
Who wants to go?
Let me volunteer from the audience. I hated to say that word, but in that city, but I really, because I know Collegedale's sending somebody out, we've spoken with him, with I put his name's Andrew back, his middle name, but he's going. I didn't know if there was, you know, if Mr. Jablonski needed to go, or if one of the council members needed to
State
go.
representative.
But is that something that's normal? And I know the answer, but I would like for you to answer that.
It certainly depends. We will set meetings on your behalf. We will represent you. You are well covered. If you want to go and see what the experience is like and be there as an added arm to any of the meetings that we have, you certainly are more than welcome, and we would support that, work with you in any way we can. Typically what we recommend if you do go is, what we do is, we have a lot of meetings that are set, and if it's appropriate for you to come to those and it makes sense, then great. But anything outside of that would be more of going to the retailers that are already here and saying, are you happy in our community? Are you looking to close, relocate, open, expand? Are you happy with your store sales? Is there anything with operations that we can do as a city? So that's a really good approach if you choose to attend, and then let us really focus on the recruitment of new retail. And so if you did go, that would really be how I think you could add the most value.
And that you pay for the motel if we go.
How good your blackjack game?
Well, Thad and I remember the International Council of Shopping Centers, and I plugged in Louisville a couple when I was in my previous city, and so and they have a regional, the Kentucky Tennessee Exchange is in the fall. There's a Southeast, usually in Atlanta, and then this is the national. It's always in Las